extend if the characters can move at these ridiculous speeds and, for all we know, turn into laser beams. It's going to become apparent in a second that these colored lights represent the colors of their weapons, but the fact that in this shot there aren't even people attached to them makes the entire scene feel like a surreal metaphor for an actual fight. The next shot is a laughably horrific excuse for fight choreography that tries to cover itself up by happening so fast that you'll be impressed just because the characters are indeed moving. The guy comes running through the foreground towards the girl, but the sense of space is conveyed so poorly and his weapon is so awkward looking that it kinda looks like he totally whiffs. We can only really tell that he's aiming for the girl's head because she ducks down to dodge the attack, even though doing so was probably unnecessary. The girl rocket boosts off to the right and then swings at the dude, but this time he ducks under it, which was probably unnecessary because the colored light representing the sword's arc is actually right where his head would be if not for the fact that it's in front of him and missed entirely. So the guy lunges at her, but wait, what the fuck just happened? Wait, go back. Frame by frame. So in one frame, we see the girl's head start to move to the right, and then in the next frame, she's suddenly in a completely different pose and facing the opposite direction. The dude not only laughably misses his attack, but instead of lunging forward, his body apparently moves backwards, and then he jumps over another sword slash that looks like it wasn't even remotely close to hitting him anyways. After that, the camera just starts switching characters from foreground to background a bunch of times because as long as things are moving fast, they must automatically be exciting. And then we get some more ineffectual stabbing action before the girl goes in with her big yell. Now this moment where the guy knocks the girl's hand away is kind of alright, because it creates a tension dispersal and represents the changing tide in the battle to his taking control, but it's just followed by a bunch of other nonsensical disconnected frames. The whole thing finally wraps up in one of those big all or nothing attacks that always makes me wonder why, if the characters could bust out these super moves whenever they wanted to, they decided to save them for the end of the match when they're already exhausted. There's a clash of swords, a pan up to the weirdest light fixture ever, a hint at this mystery man's special powers, and then the girl is dead. From her last words, "I'm sorry, Ayato," you can pretty easily figure out that this girl is probably the main character's older sister, because who else would it be? The name has to be the main character's name, and the only person who would be around this age and give this much of a shit about him this early into the story would have to be his sister. Now, I don't think it's impossible to open up on a big, stupid, flashy fight scene and have it be an enticing way to start a show. Obviously, any amount of dialogue or setting detail which might clue us into the purpose of this fight would go a long way in making it more interesting, or even just if the fighting styles of the characters hinted at what kind of people they are, be that idealistically or culturally or just in the way they fight. Both of these characters seem to have the exact same superpower and nearly identical weapons. How boring is that? Lowering my standards about as far as I possibly can with regards to scenes like this, let's take a look at the nearly identical opening minute and a half of the Blackrock Shooter OVA. Once again, we've got a fight between two characters I've never seen and who have no dialogue, and the scene ends with one of them being killed. Their powers are so over the top that there's no sense of stakes or limitation.